Remember, won't you? Remember those sweet summer days.
Welcome to a new edition of the Neon Jazz interview series with Toronto jazz trumpeter and singer Marie Goudy. She talked about her freshman 2018 CD, The Bittersweet. It's going to be released on October 12th, 2018. She is a native of Toronto who started her professional career at the age of 16. By 19, she'd already played with many of the notables in jazz like Benny Golson, Cleo, Laine, and the great Maria Schneider. She has great stories to tell, so please get to know her. Dig this interview, my friends.
Marie, thank you for taking a minute out for Neon Jazz. I appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure.
So let's talk about your latest 2018 CD, The Bittersweet. And I want to know, it's going to be released in October. I want to know about this album and how you feel about this release.
Well, this is my first album under my own name. It's being released on October 12th. An album really heavily inspired by Kenny Wheeler, the sort of large ensemble style with the vocalist singing in a lyrical role as well as singing as an instrument within the ensemble. I used a bit of mariachi influence as well, as I've been playing mariachi music for the past 7 years. So that was kind of the main inspiration, was Kenny Wheeler and mariachi.
Is there a level of relief with this release that you feel that, you know, it's your first album, you're getting it out there into the world. Do you feel relieved and happy about this in that sense?
Yes, absolutely. It's been about 2.5 years in the making now, so it's kind of hard to believe it's actually being released in a couple days.
So, as a native of Toronto, talk to me about your childhood and how you got into, you know, jazz and the trumpet and how all of this started for you.
Well, my dad is a piano player, so he started with me with music when I was really, really young. And then I picked up the trumpet playing in a drum and bugle corps when I was 11 years old, and I just loved playing it. So from the time I was around 13 or 14, I knew that's what I wanted to do with my life. But I only really knew, like, classical and sort of concert band music at that point, and then when I was 16, I got accepted to play in a youth big band, and that was my first exposure to jazz, and it was just the most amazing thing to me. And ever since then, big band music has been my number one favorite thing.
So by the age of 19, you'd already played with Benny Golson and Maria Schneider. Is it safe to say that music has been kind of woven into who you are and what you were going to do with your life?
Yeah, absolutely.
What was it like to be around someone like Maria and Benny and kind of absorb their legendary aura?
Oh, it was the most inspiring thing I could ever imagine, particularly Maria, because, as I said, I love big band music. So I was in the first year of my undergrad at the University of Toronto, and she was our artist in residence, and just listening to her talk and her passion for what she did and the way she led our band and the amazing difference her conducting made to how the music sounded was just absolutely mind-blowing to me.
What did you learn at the University of Toronto? You got an undergrad degree, a master's degree. What did you learn in a college environment that helped you on the stage?
Oh, man, like a million things. I don't really know how to answer that.
Well, I guess this is the thing. Just a few things that in a college environment that have helped you as a performer.
Definitely the general atmosphere of being in music school where everybody's sort of striving towards the same goal, and there's a lot of jamming and community stuff. That was really eye-opening to me for sure, and that's part of the main reason that I wanted to go back and do a master's degree, was because I just loved being in that kind of school environment. And my private trumpet teacher for the first 2 years of my undergrad was John MacLeod, who's an incredible trumpet player and also an incredible big band writer. So he and I developed a very strong relationship, and he ended up producing my album, The Bittersweet. And he was also my arranging teacher when I went back for my master's. So that was definitely a big influence for me that came from the university experience.
So you have played on 3 Juno-nominated albums, so you're not a stranger to being on albums, though this is your first one with your name on it. What did you learn from your previous sessions that helped you with this one?
Being a sideman, it was nice to see how the band leader sort of ran things and just kind of absorb that sort of knowledge of how to keep things running smoothly, because it's really easy for time to be wasted during a recording session. So doing it from a less stressful position many times first definitely helped me to stay calm and focused while I was directing everybody in my own ensemble.
Speaking of ensemble, you lead a pretty large jazz ensemble yourself. What's the biggest challenge of having such a large group that you're in charge of?
The biggest challenge, probably getting everybody together for a rehearsal.
So talk to me a little bit about, I mean, this is your first album. You've been around for a little while. Talk to me about what the future looks like for you. What are you looking at as things really get going with your own, freshman release here? What are you looking for?
Well, I'm definitely looking to get my name out there as a large ensemble composer and arranger. I got my first commission over the summer, which is really fantastic, and I would love to have people recognize me as a writer and be able to do more work like that. Maybe do some teaching and running of other ensembles at the college level.
As I had mentioned before about learning moments in your life, what live jazz shows have you witnessed, a live jazz show that really left a big impact on you?
The first one that comes to mind is when I was in first year and the lead trumpet player and the baritone sax player from the Village Vanguard Jazz Orchestra came to Toronto, and they played a bit with our university big band, and then they did a show at our local jazz club that night, and I went to that, and that definitely stuck with me forever.
Nice. Very nice. So, why do you love jazz?
I guess just, it can really be anything. Like, my favorite thing about it is really complex harmonic structures that you don't really find in any other kind of music, and especially with really strong melodies. I just find that so gorgeous. And then when you get a really amazing soloist who can take this dense, beautiful, thick harmony and turn it into something completely fresh and new that you would never even have thought of before, that's just so exciting to listen to.
So my final question is this. Everyone has a perception of who you are, your family, your friends, your fans, but you know yourself best. Who do you think you are?
Wow, that's a difficult question.
Yes.
Well, I think that I'm a musically minded person who has a really innate sense of melody and harmony, who is working towards being able to write really beautiful music. That's my main goal in life, and I think that I'm successfully working towards that.
Wonderful. That's a great answer. Maurice, thank you for taking some time out to talk about your release on the 12th, about your life and music. It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Of course. Thank you.
Thanks for listening and tuning in to yet another Neon Jazz interview, where we give you a bit of insight into the finest players and singers in Toronto, Kansas City, and spots all over the world, giving fans all that jazz. And thanks to Marie for her time and her music. If you want to hear more interviews, go to Famous Interviews with Joe Domino in the iTunes Store. Visit neonjazz at youtube.com. And for everything, all the time, Neon Jazz-wise, go to the neonjazz.blogspot.com. Until next time, enjoy the jazz, my friends.
Neon Jazz.